Welcome back to another episode of the Karter Cast. I'm your host, Karter Baughan. In person with Ben, on Zoom with Connor. We're doing college basketball. It's Duke Carolina week. I'll start with Ben here. Another podcast, another new location to record in.
I was just about to say the same thing. So, based on our luck, I think this is probably the last time we're doing a podcast here. Hopefully not.
Yeah,
but it's certainly possible.
Yeah, this is currently the backup studio, and then we'll go into the main studio next time. Well, who knows? Next week will be remote.
Yeah.
Next week will be remote, and then Connor's here on Zoom.
You guys should get your pick of the litter. I mean, we're sponsored by SeatGeek now. You see the graphic behind you guys. You guys should get whatever studio you want.
If I get my fat butt out of the way, you can see it. Use code KarterCast for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Well, today's rundown, we're going to talk Duke Carolina. It's the best college basketball Saturday ever. Maybe ever. I genuinely don't remember a time there was ever 3 top 10 matchups in one day and then another one on Sunday.
Doesn't it feel like things kind of turn up a little bit once it hits February? Like it had to be February for these games to all be on the same day.
Shout out college basketball gods for putting it during Pro Bowl weekend.
The perfect time. Yeah, I agree. I mean, after conference championships in the NFL, it's almost like, all right, I'm looking for a little intro to college basketball. Like people that haven't really been watching, time to dip your toes in. Couldn't think of a better day to do it, honestly, than these great matchups.
Exactly, especially after the NFC Championship game. Football's over.
For you.
No, it's just over. I've canceled football after the Lions games.
Ben Johnson's back. Ben Johnson's back, so you're good.
He is. So football is back, actually.
30 seconds. Did you know the game was over when Jahmyr Gibbs fumbled the ball?
No, but I certainly didn't feel good about it. Because the Lions are known for bad third quarters. We went into the fourth quarter tied. I was like, we've been in this position before and won. We didn't win.
That momentum, it felt like that momentum was just instantly shifted on that fumble, though. That's the bad thing.
It was.
All right, and that's talking Lions. But yeah, we're going to talk about all the big games this weekend, talk about some blue bloods. Of course, every college basketball podcast, we somehow tie in March Madness and brackets and whatever. So we'll get into that. But before we get into that, we are brought to you by, you can see right here, right behind me, if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, we're brought to you by SeatGeek. Use code KarterCast, KarterKast, for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. You can see it right here. Go to SeatGeek.com, download the app today, use code KarterCast right there. You see it. You can read. I know you can read. We don't have that stupid of listeners. Alabama fans aren't listening to this podcast anymore after I trashed them, after I ended their season with Michigan. Alabama fans ain't listening. All right. Use code KarterCast, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Let's get into the show today. Duke Carolina. It's Duke Carolina week. Someone over there out in Chapel Hill had to go and tarnish the game. We're out here putting together a nice resume, getting wins against Clemson, clean wins, non-controversial wins against Clemson. And then we go on the road and win in Blacksburg, and we're 1-5 in Blacksburg in our last 6. We as in Duke, R as in Duke. And we go in and win in Blacksburg, no problem. Meanwhile, that trashy communist team down in Chapel Hill can't win a game in Atlanta against a team that's 2-7 in ACC play. And do you have anything to speak for yourself?
I do, because that was the classic. We've been talking about it all year. Carolina was due for one of those bad losses, and this was a sandwich spot, looking ahead to Duke, coming off 10 straight conference wins against one of the worst teams in the ACC. And, of course, you go on the road and lose. But, yeah, no, non-controversial. R.J. Davis definitely not fouled at the end. I mean, if you compare that play with Tyrese Proctor, there's no comparison, It's not even close.
All right, yep.
I mean, if that was Tyrese Proctor with the ball, that may have been a flagrant too. But, I digress. It's okay. I'm glad they got it out of the way before Saturday. Because if it felt like Carolina comes in on an 11-game win streak in the conference, it feels like Saturday's a letdown spot. I don't feel that anymore.
Let's solve this right now. As people know, people who listen to the KarterCast, Ben is a Virginia fan. Ben is a diehard Virginia fan. So I would say it doesn't get more neutral than, I don't know, Virginia hates Duke.
Yeah, we also hate UNC, though.
But not as much as Duke.
Correct.
I don't think, I mean, it's hard to hate something more than Duke.
It's the South's oldest rivalry. Virginia-Carolina, South's oldest rivalry.
Yeah. I hate UNC in football just as much. Duke football, I don't really have that much animosity.
Shout out UVA money line. Yeah. Tony Muskett.
That was big.
CW.
Was it a foul in the Georgia Tech game on R.J. Davis?
It was one of those questionable ones, but I lean towards no.
Let's go.
Just
because it's close. I don't need to hear another word.
But with that being said, in Duke Clemson, I think you also don't call that. I'm
Yeah.
just, I'm equal opportunity. And I also wanted to add that, Karter definitely has a great point. Duke would never lose at Georgia Tech. That would never happen.
No.
So
Exactly.
Not in the year 2024. We
No.
maybe
There you
in
go.
2023, but not in 2024.
I think there is an ACC team that did go into Atlanta and beat Georgia Tech. I think it was Virginia.
Oh, every other team.
Oh.
No, wait, every
Yeah,
other team in
Virginia
the.
did that.
I think every other team in the ACC actually did it.
except for Carolina and Duke.
Yeah, I know.
Top 10 Carolina team and top 10 Duke team.
And that's why there's only going to be 2 bids from the conference for March. There's your answer
Yes.
right there. No,
Do we just get into it right now?
Yeah.
Well,
let's do
real
it.
quick. Real quick, the only thing I want to say about that call is it's not so much that it wasn't a foul. It's just that I get upset, and Karter, you can vouch here. Ben, I'm sure you feel the same way. Officials really changed the way they call the game a lot in a close game with 2 minutes left. It's not the same fouls as it was all game. It's not consistent, and there's no room for the players to adjust because it's like, 2 minutes left. It's a 5-point game or less. We're going to start calling ticky-tack fouls, or we're going to let you play and not call anything. So it's just a little inconsistent and frustrating. I'm not that mad. It wasn't egregious. Of course, I'm going to go on Twitter and say, rigged, like Tyrese Proctor, look at that foul and all this. But I've had a chance to take a step back, and it was not as egregious as I thought. So I'm glad to just get it out of the way.
Yeah, but we'll talk about the Duke Carolina game in a second. You guys got me pissed off about. If you haven't seen it, there was a clip. I think it was yet last night. John Rothstein was going off about how the Mountain West Conference, should be getting more bids in the ACC and the Pac-12, and they are better than the Pac-12. That's probably true.
They basically are the Pac-12.
Yeah, they basically are the Pac-12. They're not better than the ACC, though. John Rothstein is getting paid by the Mountain West Conference because they show CBS sports games. The Mountain West is nowhere near the ACC. Like, why do we do this song and dance every year? Every year we convince ourselves, the ACC sucks. This is probably the worst year of the ACC ever. I will say that. But even then, they're probably going to have a team in the Final Four when it's all said and done. They always perform the best in March. Meanwhile, it all matters how you perform in November and December against Bellarmines and Idaho States of the world.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, especially John Rothstein. He at least had some, I disagree with your point, but when he was talking about, if Clemson doesn't make it in, there could be 2 teams. Like, well, yeah, if Clemson were to not make it, there'd be just 2 teams making it. But he posted saying after Georgia Tech beat Carolina, saying that the ACC was cannibalizing itself. And I don't think, does John Rothstein know what that means? That's the question I have.
Well,
because that made no sense.
Well, the biggest problem is he's like, this is awesome in the Big 12 when Kansas loses to 6-11 West Virginia.
It's like epitome of brutality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such a tough conference. Like, it just means more in the Big 12, which is not true. It's like, what do you expect to happen in the ACC? It's a conference game. It's a tough game. Nobody's going to go completely undefeated in conference play. That's just how it is. So you're going to lose to one of those worst teams.
I did think Carolina was going to go undefeated in the ACC.
I will say some of those games against, like Boston College was a big trap game on the road. They pulled that out. There's been a few of those games where I'm like, clear letdown spot. And then they started getting me believing, but then it happened.
Yeah. Are you worried Carolina's just not good?
I'm not.
Your quad 1 resume is not great.
Thank you, Mr. Rothstein. I feel like this Carolina team, Karter, I really do. They've battled back from so many deficits this year, and in years past, they would have given up. So that's the one thing I see where it's like, they're down 10 with 3 minutes left. They would have packed it in the last few years. And this year, they've won a couple of those games. So no, I don't think they're bad, Mr. Rothstein. Thank you. Mr. Rothstein.
Yeah, I don't think there's more to add on the Rothstein point. It's a dumb take. It's bad.
It is a bad take, and he usually has great takes. Like that NCAA tournament take thing that he keeps saying where he says that any team that has an auto bid shouldn't have to play in Dayton. It should just be like the at-large teams. I'm like, I love that. And he does this whole not now, not ever will we change the format of the NCAA tournament. And I'm like, hell yeah, John. So, yeah, it was a rough one for John. As Connor said, you can't go undefeated in conference play. John Rothstein can't go undefeated in takes. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt right now, but it's a bad take.
What about Lenardi?
Dude, no.
Oh, careful, friend of the show, friend of the cast.
I know, but he's going to be like, a Big 12 team lost? They went from next 4 out to last 4 in.
he's always got those ACC teams where it's like next four out or first four out, and it's like, wait, so you've got Wake when they had like 2 losses on the next four out, which granted Wake's kind of falling apart now, but it used to make me so mad. It's like those mid-tier ACC teams, those losses aren't as bad as people say they are. I don't know why they're being treated like they're not a Power 5 conference. Like, there's some good schools in the ACC. Come on now.
Yeah, it's because they play teams out of conference.
Yeah.
And they lose some games out of conference, and then
Coach
they don't
K
look
figured
as
it
good.
out. I saw your tweet, Carter.
He did.
Yep. Coach K, yeah, if you didn't see the tweet, Coach K figured out college basketball scheduling. He got crap every single year from people being like, oh, you guys only schedule cupcakes. You guys do nothing. Yep.
I was raising my hand saying no.
Oh, yeah.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, and Connor, you might want to raise your hand too.
Yep.
You know, Coach K
Hand
doesn't
up.
schedule road games. You guys don't do anything, blah, blah, blah. Coach K figured it out. He was saving the ACC. He was smarter than John Swofford or Jim Phillips. He understood, hey, I am the one that needs to save this conference. So I think everybody, you know, all UVA fans, all UNC fans, all NC State fans, everybody in the ACC should be praising Coach K for giving them the path and showing everyone, hey, this is how you become a great conference. And without Coach K, it's lost its way.
Yeah, this
Well,
is
they had a whole
karma for
year.
doubting the GOAT.
They had a whole year to praise Coach K during his retirement tour.
Yeah.
It should have been. Some say it should have been longer.
What if he did a 3-year retirement tour? Like, that would have.
Decade. It's my final decade in college basketball.
He just basically did the Armando Baycott. It's like, I'm coming back.
One more year. Give me my
Does
COVID
Armando
5th year.
Baycott have another year?
No.
No, this is it. This is actually it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because he's got the COVID year. There was no injury red shirt, none of that. So it's just the COVID 5th year.
Are we positive?
I mean, I'm sure we could scrounge up a little bit of NIL money and keep him around, pay off a little NCAA there, but I think this is it.
Yeah. But let's do Duke Carolina. Let's talk Duke Carolina right now. Game Saturday. It's the primetime spot, college game day, the whole 9 yards. Games in Chapel Hill this year. In Chapel Hill. I'll start it off. Duke loses this game. Duke is going to lose this game on Saturday. The two worst possible scenarios were in that Georgia Tech game was Carolina like coming back and getting that wake up call, being like, you know, we let down on Georgia Tech. We came back. We barely won. They have a lot of momentum going into this game. The other worst part was them losing to Georgia Tech because then they have a perfect bounce back spot. They're going to be up for this game against Duke. Obviously, you're always up for this game. It's a rivalry game, whatever. But I think them losing to Georgia Tech, it's the easiest bounce back spot. My guess, Connor, let's play guess the lines. What do you think the line is Saturday? We're recording right now. It's Wednesday night at like 9:30 Eastern.
Let's see. Saturday. I think it's going to be Carolina favored. I think it's going to be 4.5 in the Dean Dome. 4.5.
That's
would be
exactly
my
what I
guess.
was going to say. It's 4.5.
Yeah, I was going to say 4.5 as well.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would probably take Carolina in that game.
I think I would too. Well, the thing is, if you're a Duke fan, you wanted Carolina to come out and steamroll Georgia Tech. You wanted them to win by 20, sleepwalk, be like, oh, we're invincible, like we're riding high and mighty going into the Duke game. Now they got that kind of kick in the ass where it's like, oh, we just lost to this terrible Georgia Tech team. They're going to be running in practice. Like you said, they will be extra up for this game. And I like Carolina this week too. I think they do win on Saturday. And Duke Carolina seems like they always split in scenarios like this. End of the year, I got Duke in that game and a little bit of a letdown spot for Carolina. But I like the Heels this Saturday. I'm not just saying that as a Chapel Hill graduate.
Neutral side. What are you taking?
I like Carolina, and I like Carolina. If it were 4.5, I'd like Carolina. I think this is going to be a tight game, mostly throughout. I think it's one of those where it's like Carolina's up from like 1 to like 7, and like Duke is hanging in there. But then right at the end, it's like an RJ Davis like hits a jumper, Tyrese Proctor misses one, Duke has to foul, and it's over.
That feels right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that
that feels
feels
right.
right. Where you guys are sort of in it. You miss a couple shots, Carolina makes a couple shots, the Dean Dome's going crazy, and it's over.
Yeah, that feels exactly right. That feels exactly what.
It'll be a good game. They'll make you think they're in it, but they're not really.
I was gonna say this. This one doesn't feel like it's gonna be one of the all timers.
I agree. I think Carolina, their defense has been their calling card this year, funny enough, as opposed to years past. Up until this Georgia Tech game, they hadn't allowed a team over 70 points since Kentucky back months ago. So, their defense has been smothering. I really do think there's been so many games where they've been close and then put teams away at the end. I don't think it's going to be one of those games where Duke hangs around, and then pulls away at the end. I think if Carolina's up, they're not going to give up the lead. That's how I feel. And if you're Duke, what's the guard rotation looking like, Karter? I mean, who are the 2 or 3 guards you go through to the end of the game? Because I feel like there's 4 or even 5 in the backcourt. It's a little bit crowded. So who do you trust in this game?
Oh, it's Roach. It's Roach. It's Jeremy Roach 100%. You got it's Roach and Proctor and then McCain.
Okay.
Yeah, you throw Foster's on the bench. Those 3, put your best shooters in, put your best guys in, put your most experienced guys in. McCain's the best shooter on this team. End of the game, this ball needs to go to Jeremy Roach every time. I'm a little worried he's not going to be 100% for this game. Watch out. You're going to, for everybody listening right now, get ready for Jay Billis and Dan Schulman to mention maybe 4, I'll put the over-under at 4.5 times that Jeremy Roach is not 100% and is dealing with injuries. Guaranteed that'll happen. But like you said, the guard rotation, it's Roach, Proctor, and McCain. Don't overthink it. That's what it is. My biggest concern for Duke going into this game, and I think this has been an underrated storyline all year, Kyle Filipowski sucks at the free throw line. Like, I think, yes, he can get into foul trouble. I think that's the obvious key to this game is him staying out of foul trouble, and he'll probably get 2 early fouls, whatever. It happens every time. But he has been awful at the free throw line the last 4 games or so? He's averaging like 40% from the line. If that happens, Duke will not win this game. They have been so bad from the free throw line, and Carolina's been awesome from the free throw line. Armando shoots almost 50 or 80%.
Yeah, and RJ Davis is leading the league right now.
Baycott was 50% like sophomore year.
We're like applauding Baycott. He's like almost at 50% from the line. No, but a question I have for you, Karter, is like, how do you feel about your chances? Because this is sort of my concern. Like, let's say Carolina's up 3 a minute left. I don't feel like it on the road. I don't feel like you guys have a chance just because like I need to see.
We did do it against Clemson. We were down 4 with 58 seconds left.
You're right. But like, this is a different level. I need to see like a little more. It's a cliche, but it's like I need to see some sort of like grit, perseverance, back against the wall. Like, I just haven't seen. Like, I feel like if things are going wrong, the Dean Dome is rowdy. I could see things spiraling for Duke a little bit, just because like I don't know. I just don't like trust them in tough spots right now.
Well, Carolina's got a lot of shot making and a lot of depth. So if Duke does go down, it is one of those games where it can get out of hand quickly. All of a sudden, RJ Davis gets 2 wing threes, or Seth Trimble gets an and one on the fast break, and it's a 10-12 point lead in the first half. If you're Duke, you got to be careful to control the early punches because Carolina will come out firing off this loss against Georgia Tech. So if you're Duke and you can stay within 4 or 5 points by the under 12, I think it's a win. Like it's a win, like a small victory.
Yeah.
No.
Come on.
No, it's not a small victory being down 4 at the under 12.
I'm just saying, if Carolina comes out hot from 3 and Duke can keep up with them and stay in it and not let it get away early.
But, I mean, Duke was balling against Virginia Tech, too, is the thing.
They were.
Like Duke could come out hot. Jared McCain could just hit 3 threes right off the bat. And
that is true.
All of a sudden,
true.
Like, that wouldn't surprise me. And also, the best part about this rivalry is literally anything can happen. The fact that 2016 Derek Thornton, Brandon Ingram team won at Chapel Hill makes no sense.
I remember that game.
The fact that the 2020 Carolina team should have won that game multiple times.
Yeah.
And
oh my
still
God.
lost.
That Carolina team.
That Carolina team.
Which we don't talk
Cursed.
enough about. The NCAA tournament being canceled that year was the best thing for UNC's perception because I feel like people forget about that.
Don't get me going on conspiracy theories.
People have forgotten about. Did UNC cause COVID?
Well,
No comment because this is going on YouTube.
Okay, no comment.
All I'm saying is Carolina didn't miss the tournament that year. So
It's
our
true.
streak's alive. Yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
It makes me so mad. It makes me so. I'm not going to get into the Carolina COVID conspiracy theory today. This is going on YouTube. If we were sponsored by Rumble and we're on Rumble, like let's let it loose. But shout out SeatGeek. I'm doing it for the people.
Fair enough.
And so after our COVID talk, listen to Ben Shapiro's new single right now on iTunes.
Dylan Wilkerson has joined the Zoom call.
Okay, I got another matchup question. Connor, how do you feel about it? Feels like UNC has an obvious front court advantage. I know Baycott is sort of taken on more of a secondary role in comparison to the past. It felt like in the past it was like Baycott was kind of like the guy, whereas it's obviously RJ Davis is the guy. Baycott's kind of like a complementary player. Do you see this as being a matchup in which Baycott and/or Ingram are able to take advantage of a thin Duke front court, get Filipowski a couple fouls, and Ryan Young playing 28 minutes?
Well, real quick, first off, that's worst case scenario is Flip gets 2 fouls and Ryan Young comes in at the 17-minute mark in the first half. That's the worst case scenario for Duke. As far as the front court goes, I think they will try to get Armando involved early just because they know there's not a lot of depth back there. But in recent games, I mean, if you're Harrison Ingram, he's been bullying guys in the post, 13, 15 rebounds. I don't see that happening against Duke. I think Mark Mitchell's going to be on him, and he's a pretty damn good defender. So I don't really see Ingram being able to bully his way to the rim. I will say in years past, if Armando or a Garrison Brooks or somebody got into foul trouble, I never felt great about the depth behind them. But this year, Jalen Washington's shown up in some big games. Jalen Withers has had a couple games where he's stepped up. So if Armando or Ingram does get in early foul trouble, I don't feel as bad dipping into that bench a little early. So that would be the difference this year.
Well, I was going to say I think I texted you about this, Connor. I don't think Jalen Washington coming in is y'all's best lineup. I think Withers should come in and play the 4 against us, especially if Filipowski's still in that game. Harrison Ingram can go toe-to-toe with Filipowski, I think. And then Withers on Mitchell, I think, is a fine matchup. I think that's going to be your guys' best lineup because then you guys can go 5 out and you guys can run and gun and destroy us in transition. And, I mean, Cadeau and Ingram in a pick and roll would cook Filipowski. Or
I think that's
Ryan Young, especially Ryan Young. I mean,
Ryan Young would be so lost.
Ryan Young is a giraffe on skates. I'll get this Ryan Young
Podcast
boy. I mean, can't talk, but
hey, let's start a podcast.
The irony, irony. Ryan Young, I've already prayed. I've already, me and the good Lord have already had a good conversation already. I've already pre-repented for all the swear words I'll be saying when Ryan Young is in the ball game on Saturday.
I think that's pretty smart by you, Karter. There will be a few for sure.
Yeah, it's like when you go, you're getting ready to you can book a hotel and you're like, I'm gonna prepay for this. I know I'm gonna stay there. I know I'm gonna be there no matter what. It's like and it's like with Ryan Young coming in the game. Oh, I know I'm gonna scream obscenities at the TV when Ryan Young is in this ball game and he's getting cooked on defense every single possession. But change the subject, Connor. I wanted to ask you this too. Are you worried about Elliot Cadeau getting into foul trouble in this game? He's gotten into foul trouble the last 3 games. And when he's off the floor, this Carolina team is completely different. I think in years past, we always talked about Armando Baycott being that guy that's, hey, he's going to get his 20 in this game, whatever. Not the same anymore. It's RJ Davis. RJ Davis is going to get his 20 points. I feel like that's inevitable. But the difference maker is Elliot Cadeau because he has completely changed this Carolina team. I mean, their potential is increased just because of his play. He calms everything down. I believe last time I checked, he had the best plus minus on the team. And I know plus minus can be a flawed stat, but that proves it. That proves how important he is to this team. I think he's sneaky your guys' most important player.
I think that's spot on. So conversely to my point about if Armando gets in foul trouble, I'm not as worried because we can dip into the bench and go with Withers or somebody like that. If Cadeau gets in foul trouble, it is trouble for this Carolina team because the offense flows through him. He's the one that pushes the pace. He's the one that gets RJ Davis these open shots. Just the way he whips the ball around the court. I'm not saying he's Kendall Marshall as a player, but his vision and his passing ability, it really is reminiscent of Kendall Marshall in that 2012 team. And if he gets into foul trouble, I think the offense stalls out against Duke. And I think it's going to be a big problem. You look at Cadeau, so against Georgia Tech, he had the 5 fouls, barely played. 2 games before that, he had 16 against Florida State, 14 against Wake. So he's come on as a scorer. He relentlessly attacks the rim. He gets to the rim, gets to the line. Doesn't have a great jump shot yet. But the offense does flow through him. That is what it is.
Can I ask a question?
You may.
I think I figured out how we can beat Carolina on Saturday. We're going to take a book out of Johnny Dawkins' book, and we're going to play Trey Jones defense on him, like how UCF did against Duke in the 19 tournament. Let's just let Cadeau shoot threes. Give him 8 feet.
The thing is, they do. Even on Saturday against Georgia Tech or whenever it was, or Tuesday, they left him open, and he didn't really shoot that much. He'll take a couple mid-ranges, but if they don't go in,
I know, but that's the thing. Then he can't blow past you.
Yeah, that is true. On those pick and rolls, you have to go under and almost play that drop coverage. You can't go over. Otherwise, he's getting right into the lane.
There's nothing worse as a shooter than someone letting you shoot. There really isn't. You're like, I'm confident in the shot, and then you're like, am I?
like those
And
days of the
you
morning
know
church.
that's going through their mind too.
Oh, 100%.
Like
The biggest stage.
Purdue, like Purdue, Fairleigh Dickinson. That's what
Oh,
they did.
oh, yeah.
They're like shoot threes, and they're like, oh goodness. Now,
Yeah, we're
now
gonna
we
send
can't.
We're gonna send 3 guys to box out Zach Edey. Have fun, and then we're just
Yeah.
gonna do it.
Exactly.
Oh,
I mean, that is, and I also think a recipe for you guys winning is I feel like McCain scores like 20.
Yeah, he needs. Do you remember in 2017, Connor, Luke Kennard just goes off against Carolina? I mean, it felt like he just couldn't miss for some reason. I feel like McCain's going to have a similar game.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's a good chance he will. I mean, Carolina's defense has been good all year, but they have been getting lit up by these secondary, tertiary options sometimes.
And I will say, this will be my last point on this game. Tyrese Proctor has been nice lately. He has played out of his mind. He's taken over the point guard role again. He has been phenomenal. And he played, I know it's a different Carolina team for the most part, for like half of it, but he played very well against Carolina last year. Very well. And
He did.
that's going to be a big key on Saturday, too. I also, if Roach isn't healthy, this team is not winning. If Roach is, he has to be at least 90% for this team to win this game, because when it gets tight and you need a big bucket, you got to go to Roach.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'll just close with this on this game. Carolina winning, I mean, yes, we want RJ Davis. He's going to get his 20-25. We want Armando to get started early, get his work in the post early, get that deep position. But the real X factor is one guy we haven't mentioned yet. If
Don't say his name. I hate him.
Cormac Ryan hits 4 threes, it's looking good for the Heels.
After Cormac Ryan's like ankle injury,
No,
he's
it's
out
every
for 2
game.
minutes.
It's every game.
It is every game.
He
It
has
is every game.
he has a quote unquote injury every game. I'm not wishing injury on him, not by any means, because I feel bad.
Because it's inevitable.
But
You don't have to wish it.
Yeah, he's turned into Anthony Davis to where it's like he falls down. You're like, is his career over? But no, he's just whining. He's turned into a soccer player. And also, Cormac Ryan is the most Duke player that has ever played at the University of North Carolina. Oh my gosh, he screams Duke, and I cannot stand him.
If he was wearing the other shade of blue, he would be top 3 most hated players in college basketball, without a doubt.
He wouldn't be getting Grayson Allen treatment, but he would be getting, Grayson Allen light. Yeah,
Greg Paulus, John
That's
Shire,
a good one.
Singler. Yeah, maybe not as good as
Yeah, I don't
Singler,
think
but
Singler ever got that hate. He's just a
But
dude
the
that
thing
likes
is-
to draw.
the thing is, Carter, if Cormac Ryan comes out and hits 4 or 5 threes, it's probably over.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
it probably is.
that probably
feel
means
that-
it's a nail in the coffin.
I agree with that, and I also think the same for Jared McCain. If
Yeah.
Jared McCain comes out and hits 4 or 5 threes, early on, and you're like,
Yeah.
all right, what do we do here? Then that opens up everything for Filipowski and for Mitchell to drive and for Roach to drive and everything.
Score predictions?
That's what I was going to say, score predictions. All right, Duke, Carolina score predictions. Connor, you go first.
Give me Carolina 79, Duke 71.
Ooh, Ben.
I'm not going to be swayed by what Connor said. I was going to say 79-72. Carolina.
Oh, no way.
All right.
That's literally what I had in my mind. And then you said, like, whoa.
76-74 Duke.
So, tight Duke win. I like it. You got to stay true to it. You got to stay true to your roots.
Yeah, Duke is going to win off of a Tyrese Proctor foul. That would be so beautiful.
Oh,
that would
funny.
That would be the best thing ever. Is we win on a controversial call of like Tyrese Proctor goes in and flops on Armando Bacot.
With like 4 seconds left, and then RJ Davis gets pummeled. And
Yes,
nothing.
yes. RJ
Yeah, no
Davis
call.
just runs down and just like flails. He does the Tyus Jones head bob and falls back and doesn't get the call. That would be the best way for this game to end.
I can't wait to see who's reffing the game. Because if it's Teddy Valentine, I'm going to go jump off this 3rd-story building I'm in right now.
I mean, it is prime time for TV Teddy.
I
Maybe
know.
get Jamie Lucky in there, too.
Roger Ayers.
Roger Ayers, yeah, there you go.
Sneaky Duke fans anti-Lee Cassell. He was the one that messed up the Virginia game last year.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's still a makeup for the Grayson Allen travel back in
He didn't travel.
2016.
He didn't travel.
I have no input on
Did
that.
they call it? I don't think he traveled then.
Scott Foster comes down from the NBA to ref this game and get his toe in college basketball.
But I think that's enough on Duke Carolina. I'm so excited for Saturday. Like, it is like we were talking with Dylan, and we always talk about Dylan about Michigan, Ohio State, and all these other rivalries in sports. It's so nice to have one of the big ones. You sit there, Duke Carolina. There's nothing like it. There's like it's got to be awesome, like watching from a neutral perspective, because Connor, you know how it is. That Sunday or that Saturday hits, you're like, okay, big game, you're up for it. You're excited in the morning, and then the afternoon starts, and you're like, gosh, dude, I do not feel good. 30 minutes before tip-off, your stomach is turning. You're like, oh my gosh, please kill me. And then tip-off happens, and you turn into just like a rabid pit bull, and you're just like, and you hate it. It's crazy. Something happens to my brain during Duke Carolina. I don't know what it is. My poor wife, she's just sitting there like, oh my gosh, who did I marry?
It does turn into that, though, where it's like you're locked in on every possession, every dribble. You're like, that's a carry, it's rigged, or moving screen, and every little call, you're nitpicking everything.
It's like if you took cocaine before the game. Like, no cocaine, you could be drinking water, and all of a sudden, it's crazy. I can't wait for Saturday, though. Also, shame on BYU for scheduling West Virginia at the same time as Duke Carolina, and it's probably on ESPN Plus, the worst place on earth. So
it is. I will probably be told I don't have ESPN Plus when I try to pull it on.
Yeah, you're like, restore purchase. Sorry, we're going to charge you another $99.
Hey, it's worth it. Come on, guys. You don't want to watch college softball and wrestling on ESPN Plus?
Oh, yes, dude. I want to watch the I was trying to think of the worst 30 for 30. There's so many good 30 for 30s on there.
Yeah, there are.
There's so many good ones. I watched the Big East one the other night. It was great. Let's move on. Let's talk about some other games, though. Let's talk about a team that's playing right now on my left over here. Florida, Kentucky's on right now. Kentucky's up 2 with 2 minutes left. Kentucky, Tennessee Saturday.
That's an underrated matchup.
It's
so good.
That is going to be so aesthetically pleasing from a color standpoint, like the jersey colors, and the way they play, 3-pointers. Dalton Connect, can he be the guy in this big spot? Tennessee coming off the bounce back spot after losing at home to South Carolina. Ben, I'll let you start off with this game.
Yeah, I like this game because it features my two favorite players this year, which is Reed Sheppard and Dalton Connect. Just two great players. Because Reed Sheppard being like the best player on Kentucky is just hilarious to me. But I'm interested to see the injury situation because right now Kentucky's up 2 on Florida, but Edwards is not playing and DJ Wagner's not playing either. So I think Kentucky's got enough depth to weather the storm there. But it's going to be interesting. I think Tennessee is a team that I really like, but you still just have questions sometimes of like, what if they come out? What if Dalton Connect isn't really? It's an off shooting night for Dalton Connect. It's like, where's your offense coming? Yeah. So it'll be very interesting. I love this matchup.
Do you have anything on this, Connor?
Yeah, if you look at some of the numbers. So first of all, Dalton Connect, awesome. I mean, he went off in the Dean Dome, got that, had that injury late, but just seeing him, like that's one of the only Tennessee games I've watched buzzer to buzzer this year, and he's just a bucket. I mean, even against South Carolina last night, it was insane. Kentucky, they're 4th in the country in points per game. So something's got to give here. Like I don't know if Tennessee's going to let that many up, but if Kentucky starts hitting shots, I don't love Tennessee's ability to play from behind. That would be my one point. They got to hope Connect's on because you're right, Ben. If he's not hitting shots, if he's not hitting threes from behind the arc, where do they go? Yeah, like consistently, Ziegler, they don't have another double-digit scorer.
Yeah, probably Ziegler.
And I don't like that.
Right.
No. And
so do you think that's like a disadvantage, like being that reliant on one player? Obviously, he's awesome, and he's in all these Player of the Year talks, but is it a disadvantage to only have like one guy to lead your team like that?
I think in this game it is, but I think in March it's not.
Yeah, I was going to say they're relying on one guy offensively, but it does help that they're just reliant, like when they're more reliant on just their defense. And so I think that's something that can keep them in this game. So even if, I do get worried, like, what if Kentucky's able to hit some shots, Tennessee gets down by, like, 3 possessions, like 7 points or something. But, even if Connect is going through sort of a drought, you can really, like, stay in that game, sort of like UVA style, just playing hard defense, keeping it low scoring. I'll be very interested to see what happens this game.
Yeah,
it's a good matchup.
What do you think the line will be? I think it'll be Kentucky by 3.
I was going to say Kentucky 3.5.
I'm going to say Kentucky by 2. I don't think it's going to be that many.
If those guys are playing and they are healthy for Kentucky in this game, I like Kentucky in this spot. I know Tennessee's coming off the bounce back spot, but the number one thing you got to realize in college basketball this year is teams do not lose at home and teams do not win on the road. It is so hard to win a road game. there's no harder place in the country than McCamish Pavilion in Atlanta, Georgia. And then you have Rupp Arena, which is right behind that.
Yeah. I agree. I tend to like Kentucky in this spot too. No one, as you said, no one can win on the road. I think that would be a signature moment. Like, imagine a scenario in which Dalton Knecht drops like 35.
That's what I want to see, though.
That would be so fun.
That's what I want to see. I want to see an all-time Dalton Knecht performance. And the other thing is, Connor, you mentioned the Carolina game. He shows up in these big games. When it matters most, he does show up, and he plays his best basketball. So that's why points prop is out. I'm taking Dalton Knecht points.
Yeah, I would too.
I think so too.
For sure.
And whoever comes out on top in this game, it almost feels like it's going to be that much of a step forward come March, where it's like, this is one of those key resume wins where it's like, oh, that's where the season turned around. Like, whenever the Final Four videos drop and one of these teams is in it, where it's like, now that game against Tennessee or that big win on the road against Kentucky, that's where we kind of realized we can take that next step. Because this is a huge game. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tennessee's one of the older teams in this conference, are they not? They've got a lot of veteran guys on that team, it feels like, whereas Kentucky's the exact opposite. So it's probably plays in Kentucky's favor there at home. But, Tennessee's battle tested. They've been on the road. They've played in the Dean Dome this year and performed pretty well, the second half at least. I feel like that's going to play into it at some point.
Connor, going back to the Duke-Carolina game, you mentioned how this is going to be a key win for momentum going forward or whatever. Are you worried as a Carolina fan that if Carolina loses this game, that this could be a snowball effect and, they start losing? Oh, my gosh, how did we lose to Virginia? How did we lose to NC State? We lost to – you guys aren't losing to NC State. That's just not happening. It never happens.
You might lose to Virginia and Charlottesville. That feels like a Virginia spot.
Yeah, that might be a Virginia spot. Like, oh, we lost to Miami. This Miami team is all of a sudden good. On the other side, I think if Duke wins, this is like the biggest momentum spot for them because they're rolling right now, and this will just propel things. For Carolina, I'd be very worried about a snowball effect.
I think that's a very valid point because you look at their schedule after that game. They've got Clemson at home on Tuesday. Clemson's a good team.
When
Duke to the wire.
You got Clemson, Brad Brunell is physically incapable of winning in Chapel Hill.
Well, then you got at Miami. So it's not an easy stretch of games.
Oh,
what
Luka Poplar drops 25.
Connor, I don't have it on me. What night is that on? If it's a big Monday game,
it's
hammer
not
Miami. Oh.
It's a Saturday, 4 p.m. game.
That plays in the UNC's favor a little.
Yeah, that's a weird afternoon spot. It's not a night game in Miami. It's not going to be like it'll be packed, but it's not like a big Monday game. I don't know. I think that's a fair point. It's a fair point to bring up, Carter, as far as the snowball effect.
Yeah.
I don't think this team, like I said earlier, this team has bounced back. They've put teams away. They haven't folded this year. Even if they lose to Duke, I trust this team to kind of bounce back and get their heads right and be like, okay, let's not let this carry over into the next night.
All right. Had to ask that.
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Real quick, I know we did a little side tangent there. Score predictions for Kentucky, Tennessee. Ben first.
I will go. Screw it. I'll say Tennessee 65, Kentucky 63.
UVA performance.
I love this Kentucky. I do. Like, I'm thinking of this Tennessee Kentucky game, and it's like I close my eyes and think of like somewhere between 2014, 2018, like Duke versus Virginia on a Saturday type vibes. Like the teams sort of resemble each other a little bit in that way. I think this is one of those moments where we're like, Dalton Knecht, like if you didn't know before, like he's that dude. He's that dude. Like I think he single-handedly carries them to win on the road in Rupp.
I agree with it. I'll go with mine next. I'm going to go Tennessee 68, Kentucky 67.
Love it.
Oh, should have said 69. Connor.
Yeah, I'm going Tennessee 69 here, Kentucky 57. 12-point win for Tennessee. I think Kentucky, young team, and I think they might shoot themselves out of it. If they're not hitting shots, there's a good chance that game's not close at the end. And I might be pissing off a whole fan base here, but so be it. You know what, Carter? You pissed off Alabama. Dylan's pissed off every fan base in college football. So be it. Come after me, Kentucky fans.
Yeah, no. I got the last laugh on Alabama fans. I was a Michigan man all season.
You did get the last laugh.
That was big. I was worried in that Michigan game. I was worried. I was like, oh man,
it didn't look good for a little bit.
I had to delete some DMs from Alabama fans. I'll just say that.
Surprised you got to type them out.
Also, Kentucky just hit a shot with 3 seconds to send it to OT.
Kentucky or Florida?
Or Florida, I mean.
What? Live reaction.
Mm.
Is that Clayton?
Oh my gosh. Anyhow, let's talk about the two last games. We'll briefly go over these. Kansas, Houston, games in Lawrence. It's probably ESPN Plus again. It's probably ESPN Plus. The biggest game in the Big 12 is on ESPN Plus.
It's on ESPN. It's on ESPN.
Okay, all right. Shout out the worldwide leader. I don't like Kansas. I like Kansas at home though.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Why's that?
I think this is a especially bad matchup for Kansas because I do not like Kansas guards, and I love Houston's guards. I like DeJuan Harris. Like, I don't want to disrespect DeJuan Harris here, but, like, he's not, like, taking over and winning you a game against a top 5 team, whereas, like, Cryer and Shed could have some, like...
They took over and won the BYU game.
Some crowd silencing type shots. That's what they did here at the Marriott Center. BYU would, like... bring it back. There'd be like a big shot, like a Jackson Robinson, like reverse layup or something. The place is going wild. LJ Cryer 3.
Yep.
Just immediately silences.
Disgusting
energy.
Crossover step back.
I think they can do it anywhere. If they, like, not comparing Provo to Lawrence by any means, but, like, I think Cryer and Shed are the type of guys who have that crowd silencing ability anywhere in the country, and they're going to need that on Saturday.
Connor, do you have anything on this game?
I would lean Houston here as well because, you know, we always talk about teams and letdown spots after a big game. You know, they beat Texas in that very close game, back and forth at the end there. I think it's not a letdown spot for Houston. I think it's more of a launch pad point to where it's like, oh, we just beat Texas at home. All right, let's get on the road here in Kansas. Like, let's take care of business. We've been in this game recently. I think it's more of that than a letdown spot. So I lean Houston here as well.
Gotcha.
Plus, defense travels.
It does.
Yeah, I know I said, oh, yeah, I like Kansas at home. Completely flipping. I mean, I love Houston for everything Ben said. LJ Cryer, Shed, these guys are awesome on the road, and I don't like Kansas's guards. And also, is McCullough playing?
I don't know.
He didn't play the other night, or
Yeah.
was it last night? I'm losing my. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was last night against Oklahoma State. He didn't play, and so if he's not playing, there's no shot they win this game. And we've seen teams go into Lawrence this year and have success, and it's not this. I would say Lawrence is not this fortress this year. And also, let me ask you guys this, and this just may be my own bias towards this guy, but are you scared of Hunter Dickinson? I'll let you go first, Ben.
No.
At all?
No.
I
think he's a very good player, but
I'm not scared of
team
him at
All-American,
all.
but
Connor, are you?
He's damn good against bad teams, but after that game in Chapel Hill that I watched, I'm not scared of him in big spots. I'm not like, oh man, it's a top 10 matchup. Hunter Dickinson's going to have 25 and 12 on me. I'm not thinking that.
He screams upset. Like we've talked about them being a prime team to get upset in March. I can't sit there and envision Hunter Dickinson playing in the Sweet 16.
No, I can't either. I think the big issue with Kansas is I like 4 of their starters. But, like, I like 4 of their players, and then it gets, like, iffy. Like, they're trying to figure out what else they have. Nick Timberlake's Elmarco Jackson's been, you know, kind of disappointing. You know, Arterio Morris got kicked off the team before the season. Furphy, the guy from Australia, he's pretty good. So if he, like, continues to make sort of a leap, that, like, raises their floor a little bit. But I still think, like, they're missing just, like, a second guard. And a guard who's going to go hunt his shot, which is something good Kansas teams have had in the past.
I think that's 100% fair. Go, Connor.
Last thing I got on this game, Houston's 3rd in the country in offensive rebounding. They average 13.5 a game. It feels like one of those games that's going to be tight at the end. Kansas down 2, needs a stop, 30 seconds left. Houston grabs an offensive board. Because you know what that is? That's effort, that's hustle, and that travels. Just like defense on the road in Lawrence, that will travel. So like it just feels like one of those back-breaking offensive rebounds where it's like, we're up 2, now we have to foul. Now the game's over.
Culture win, yeah.
And going back to the guards, if it's a tight game like you mentioned, Connor, I want guards. I want guards in that spot.
Or do you want a Dickinson post up?
Exactly. Do I want a Dickinson get it at the top of the key and then get a charge call on him?
And a moving
that is
screen.
what would happen.
So anyhow, I guess we can do score predictions. I'm going Houston 71, Kansas 61.
I'm gonna go Houston 73, Kansas 69. Nice.
Connor, nice.
Give me Houston 65, Kansas 61.
Okay.
Lower scoring game. Lower scoring game
All right.
in Lawrence.
Last game, we'll do really quickly go over this one. Purdue, Wisconsin. It's in Wisconsin. This feels like a prime spot where Wisconsin gets. I think Wisconsin loses this game. Actually, this isn't. We're gonna upset Purdue spot. This is the pressure's on Wisconsin in this game in my mind.
I think you're right. I didn't think of it that way, but I do think this is one of those opportunities for Wisconsin to show, like, hey, you're the other team that can beat Purdue. Maybe Illinois since Terrence Shannon's back, but I think this is an interesting game. And honestly, we were talking about the basketball gods or the sports gods like looking out for us. Putting this game on Sunday,
Yeah,
you're looking out for us.
yeah. Is it on Peacock?
I think it probably is, but that's okay. I'll take it.
I don't like games being on the cock. I don't like it being on the cock.
It's on CBS.
Oh, good. That's great. That's gonna get me in March Madness because it's gonna be.
That theme music hits.
It's gonna be, and you're in February. You're like, you're like, oh, something's going on down yonder. Like we got something going. Got a little feeling down there. Yeah, boing. Yeah, but I love Purdue in this spot. I think this is the game where Wisconsin's actually not that good.
Yeah. I'm kind of a sucker for this Wisconsin team. I think Wisconsin wins this game.
Connor.
I like Purdue here, Carter. I'm with you because they just went to overtime with Northwestern. This is the classic. Oh, Wisconsin at home. Purdue should have lost in overtime with Northwestern. Purdue's kind of fraudy. People are going to be on Wisconsin. I feel like just for that, Purdue. Zach Edey has 35-20 or something crazy like that.
Fair enough.
All right. I think that's it for game previews. I mean, the other thing is there's awesome games on Saturday. Like for BYU fans, you obviously have your own games, whatever. But UConn St. John's in the Garden. That's going to be awesome. I can't even think off the top of my head all the others.
Virginia plays at Clemson. That's like a decent game.
That's not bad.
If that's like a kind of not premier game, then that's a good.
That's a great TV3 game.
It is.
TV2 maybe, depending on what time it's on.
Yeah, it's at noon. Mountain time. Mountain time.
Yeah. That's a TV2 game. The other thing I did want to say, Connor, watch out for this on Saturday. I believe Houston and Kansas is the game before Duke Carolina. There is a 100% chance that game goes to overtime because it has to bleed into the Carolina Duke game.
Kansas loves doing that to Coach K specifically.
Exactly.
They do. Well, I think they might have figured a little something out this year because that game's at 4 Eastern time, and then Carolina Duke's not till 6:30. So they gave an extra 30-minute push.
Why can't they do that all the time for every game?
I don't know. Makes no sense.
Because do you want to hear Jay Williams and Seth Greenberg in studio for 15 minutes?
Fair.
Yeah, there we go.
But what's the probability of that happening? Like, how many games bleed over? Like, it's like, top of the hour hits. There's still 5:30 left of game time.
If it's Virginia, you guys end 15 minutes before. Virginia played tonight against Notre Dame. Hour 45. They had Seth Greenberg was like, I have to work for 15 minutes. Are you kidding me?
No, it's great. With Virginia games against like bottom tier ACC opponents, you get in, you get out.
Yeah. No, you
win by 10.
They don't give you the price of admission though.
No, they don't.
No, they don't care about that.
But if the Kansas Houston game bled into UNC Duke, that would favor UNC because of the
Coach K.
The Coach K.
Yeah.
Funeral.
Like you said, Connor. Remember when they had the Coach K graphic?
I do. How can I ever forget? They'll probably do a 2-box with Coach K this year. Just be like, where is he? Find him. He's in here somewhere.
Be like on his couch. And then he's like, Coach K.
I would actually
look on Coach K's office.
How mad are you guys going to be on Saturday during Duke Carolina when Joe Lunardi's taking up over half the screen, being like, I think Utah State might be a 7 seed. I love you, Joe. I love you, Joe. Please come back on the podcast.
UNC Duke is their college basketball baby. They won't mess with that.
It does feel like the one kind of untouchable thing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it's too big of a spot to throw Joe on there.
Holly Rose sideline interview that bleeds in too long. That pisses me off. Right after a Carolina run, and they're like, Coach Hubert Davis has a dog he really likes. You're like, can you please not tell me this story? This is a non-conference story. I don't want to hear this.
Or it's like Coach K left John Shire in such great hands. I mean, he set up the whole program for him.
Well, that's true. Like, that's a great story.
Yeah, okay. Kind of like how Coach K had them build another floor in their building for him. What was that story?
Well, no, he hasn't given up his office yet. Connor, you know my theory. Roy Williams and Coach K are still running the show. Hubert and John Shire are just puppets.
Little puppet master behind the scene, exactly.
Yeah, no, Roy's at every game. Like, he's up in his corner, the bird's eye view, the Larry Bird seat, watching them every single game. Coach K hasn't given up his office at Duke. They're running the show.
I miss the Roy Williams end of like a Carolina Duke game, and Carolina's going down 1, last possession of the game. It's like Hubert might call timeout. I loved when Roy just wouldn't.
Just
like, I don't
swallowed
want
him.
to wait.
Just take
I don't
want to
wait.
game.
Or like,
I don't want to wait.
Duke's on a 15-0 run, and Roy Williams is like, I'm not calling a timeout. I'm taking him
out.
I'm taking him home with me.
Yeah.
I get to keep him in my pocket.
We'll send 5 guys to the scores table, but damn it, I'm not calling a timeout for him to sub in.
I really hope we get to see Baycott and Jalen Washington in at the same time. Then my theory will be 100% proven. Playing two centers at the same time.
This is one of those games where Jalen Washington comes in and after 2 minutes, it's very clear he's not coming back in the game.
7 minutes. 7 minutes is the over-under for Jalen Washington.
I like it.
All right. Do we want to do the Blue Bloods thing?
We can, yeah. We can briefly talk about it.
Sure.
All right, real quick. Who are the actual Blue Bloods? We talk, people see it all the time. You're like, randomly Michigan State gets included in this group. It's
Indiana.
Duke. The hardcore locks are Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, Carolina, probably UCLA because of their history, and they are a blue-colored school. And after that, you have to put UConn in there. Like, I know that's the whole debate. You have to put UConn in.
You're missing one that I think is pretty important, especially recently. I think Villanova has to be in this conversation.
I don't know.
Karter,
I
they have
don't
been
think so.
consistently good. They don't have the history yet?
A non-Jay Wright Villanova team is not there.
I need to see more out of post Jay Wright to make that conclusion, because I think Kyle Neptune, we're not quite there yet, but he's going to be in trouble soon.
Yeah, Villanova, I don't see Villanova as a blue blood because these other programs like Kansas, Kentucky, Carolina, Duke, they've lost their legendary coaches and they're still the prominent programs.
Yeah, that's fair. So one of your guys' criteria for getting in this club is kind of a continued history of success over just like one period, like or one tenure. You have to be still relevant.
I think UConn has definitely showed that. I mean, I don't know. Has there been a more successful team in college basketball in the last 25 years than UConn? And they've gone through
that's not all their titles.
Yeah, they've gone through like 9 coaches. They've gone through 9 coaches. They're like a LeBron coaching staff.
Yeah. They won a national championship with Kevin Ollie.
They won a national championship with Kevin Ollie.
I will say, though, UConn, for me, is not a blue blood, and because this is a hot take, not the correct shade of blue.
Well, that's why UCLA gets included.
Yeah, UCLA's in there. It's those 5. Also, one of my hot takes is you can't, in the year 2024, become a blue blood. It's
too
locked.
late. Yeah.
It's locked. Blue blood's a traditional past tense term of like traditional programs, and they've got to be blue.
Oh, also
the right shade of blue.
That's
my
Michigan
criteria.
Michigan State stuff. Get that out of here.
No.
Why are they included in the Champions Classic?
I've heard Indiana talk too about this blue blood stuff, and I'm like, no way. They're not. They haven't been good recently.
I get the traditional part.
They're traditional.
I get it because they're like they've got the blue blood like fan base and attitude around the program in terms of like the excitement. But I agree that just like they've just been when they're down, it's just they're down too long.
Yeah, I agree.
All right,
we're too long when they're not relevant.
All right, that's Blue Blood talk. Before we get into our last segment, while we were recording, Florida just beat Kentucky in Rupp Arena. So does that make you like Kentucky a little more on Saturday?
More than I did before, but Tennessee also lost to South Carolina last night.
Yeah, so the bounce back spot's dead.
Yeah.
So
someone's going to lose 2 games in a row.
That's the snowball effect.
Yeah.
I still like Tennessee. I'm sticking with Tennessee in that one.
I'll stick with it too.
All right, last thing we want to talk about. Ben, you want to do this?
Yeah. I want to talk about like bracket strategies. Everyone has a different
I'm very different.
Method in which they fill out their brackets. And so I kind of want to talk about like Karter, are you a round of 64 then round of 32? Are you a by region all the way through?
So
move.
I have ADHD for sure. Mine is all over the place. I filled out like it makes no sense. There's no logical sense to it. But what I will say is how it really goes for me is I watch Selection Sunday, and then I quickly run through all the games in my head. I don't write anything down. And then when I'm writing stuff down, I go to 116. Okay, I like the 1 seed. 8-9, I like that team. I do it on games I'm sure of. So I'm like, oh, I like Duke in this game. I like Carolina in this game. But then when I get to a 6-11 game, I'm like, ugh, I don't know about that one. Skip. Let's move on. And I keep going and I keep going. And then after the first round, I try and fill in the missing spots here and there. Sometimes I'll put if I'm I know I'm putting Duke in the Sweet 16 Elite Eight, I'll just keep writing them in. I'll get their matchups ready, but I know that I'm going to put them ahead. So I have a horrible bracket strategy.
Yeah, I don't like the it doesn't matter the mat. That feels like that's kind of like mocking the March Madness gods.
No, but I have it. I have their matchup ready. But I already
But you wrote Duke before.
No, I didn't write Duke before. I get their matchup, and I see, I'm like, okay, Duke versus TCU. Duke. All right, Duke versus UConn. Duke.
Oh, you just get excited about Duke and keep going.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly
Duke versus UCF.
Yeah.
Duke versus Lehigh.
Yeah.
Oh, pencil that one in.
Yeah, I've got an idea. I had an epiphany, but I want Connor to go first and share where he stands on this.
Yeah, so mine's pretty consistent every year. It's by region, and I don't think there's any other way to do it, because when my thought process gets into that mode where it's like, all right, I'm looking up this matchup, and I've got this team stats on my mind, how this team did their schedule-wise, how this team did non-conference-wise, on the road, at home. I've got that all in my head. If I go round of 64, then round of 32, I got to go back to that for each team and be like, wait, what was the stat I remembered about this team for the next game or for the previous game? So I go by region. I go by region till the Final Four, and then I move on to the next region, and then I'll tackle the Final Four by itself. Because otherwise my train of thought gets too jumbled, stats are going everywhere, my research is pretty much has to be redone for the next round. Don't like that. So I'm a region guy.
What's yours?
Gotcha. I was always traditionally round of 64, round of 32, and then I became kind of a region guy. But I think I've got a new strategy that I like this year. I might just pick them straight. I'm going to wait to see the times of the games and pick them chronologically.
Oh, wow.
I might do it.
So
I kind of like that.
So how
the way that I'll be watching it throughout the day.
And
I like this team first. I like in game 1 of Thursday morning, I like this team. I feel like it's gonna get me in the right mind, like space.
Yeah,
right headspace.
That's how my bets are gonna go.
Yeah, that might be how my bracket goes too.
That's how my bets are gonna go.
Bets wise, you just wait for the first game to end, then you double down and chase on the next game. But
I had West. I think who did I? What was West Virginia Maryland was the first game last year. Whoever it was, I had the wrong pick.
Yeah,
I think I had
West Virginia and it was Maryland. I also had, because I remember they got up early and Virginia was up early on Furman. I'm like 2-0 baby.
Yeah.
Little did I know I was gonna go 0-2.
Oh.
Jalen Slauson.
Furman in the Sweet 16, but
Me too.
Yeah.
Got him deep.
I think the region is the correct way to do it.
I think it might be.
You.
I typically, when it boils down to, I am around a 64, around a 32 or 16. I just steamroll through. I think the regions is the way to go, especially on a computer.
Yeah.
Well, it's independent because what I pick for the South region doesn't have any effect on how the East region plays out until the Final Four. So it's not like I'm just disregarding things completely that are related. I'm just going through the region where my mind is at the time.
This year, I will get a giant bracket made.
Yeah.
You see this screen behind us? I'm going to get one just the size of this TV that I want plastered in the room. And whenever we do podcasts in March after each game, or after each day or whatever, then you're just going to be able to see the bracket. We'll make it our upset special bracket. We'll go in together on it. It's a big bracket pool, and we'll put our picks on there, and we can cross them out, check them on, move them on. I might have to get the stickers like they do in the tournament, slap it on there.
Yeah. So it'll be like Barack Obama's bracket, the Carter bracket, and then it'll just be like.
Well, I would say our bracket would be better than the Obama bracket because he's just going to pick Carolina regardless.
Sounds like a smart guy. Sorry, Dylan.
Nope, not going to get into conspiracy theories, Karter. Not going to do it. We got SeatGeek right behind you. I think region's the way to fill out the bracket, though.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, though. Online, region feels right. On paper, I feel like round of 64 by round. But
I think people are going to hate this take.
But don't sleep. I love my idea of chronological for me.
Well, that brings
I'm not forcing that upon anyone else, but I might do it. I kind of like it.
Yeah, we might have to F around that.
I kind of like it.
You guys still do paper brackets, right?
Yeah.
You have to. You got. There's something special about printing out 5 of those brackets. Yeah.
Get the highlighter
fresh off
out.
the printer.
Get the highlighter out, and then you cross out the games you don't like, or circle the ones you got. Oh man, just brings you back to being like a fourth grader.
Then like your girlfriend or mom wins your family bracket pool, and it just pisses me off. They don't. Yeah. They're just like, oh, I like the way Kansas sounded. I'm like,
that's how it was last year. Alexis tied for first in our big bracket pool last year with like 40 people. She was so invested. It was awesome.
Yeah, my brother's like, I like the beach, San Diego State to the championship.
It's like, oh, they're cool colors. That mascot's cool. Check.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited for March. But all right, that'll do it from us. We were brought to you by SeatGeek this episode. Download the SeatGeek app today in the App Store, Android, Google, whatever phone you have. Download SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com for your tickets today. Use code KarterCast, KarterKast, right here. If you're watching on YouTube, you see it right there. Use code KarterCast today for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. That'll do it from us. We'll be back next week. Connor, Super Bowl props show. I'm so excited.
I'm going deep in my bag. Last year we got the octopus. We had the longest fourth down conversion. We're going back in this year.
Yeah, I can't wait. I Super Bowl props shows one of my favorite shows of the year. We'll be back next week doing college basketball and NBA as always. Tune into the NBA pod as well. That'll be out later this week. You're probably listening right now on Thursday. NBA pod will be out on Friday. So tune in for that. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening. Subscribe. YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 1K on YouTube. You're watching it on Twitter, X, whatever it's called. Follow the KarterCast at BD Hammond 28, at Connor_Sparrow, at Karter BA on X, Twitter, whatever it's called, like I said. And we'll be back, and we'll see y'all next time. Hey, by the way, hey, Connor, before we go, congrats on the Carolina win, man. Hey, it was a pleasure. Congrats, man.
Hey,
I really appreciate it. No, congrats, man.
I knew Duke would get there in the end.
You guys played such a great game. I always knew you guys were going to win. Congrats, man.
You already bought your tickets to the Final Four.
Congratulations, Carolina. You guys won. You were the better team today. You're better team on Saturday. Congrats, Carolina. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.